My name is Nienks and thank you for spending some crafty time with me. We're still busy with the Daydream March 2025 paper pumpkin kit. I know I have all of these scraps left and it's a kit that keeps on giving. I want to do these work with these die cuts that we got with the last three kits. So it's the spring is in the air dies. I just want to continue playing with this kit. This is the nice honeycomb that we can die cut, and here's that very cute little bee. I love it so much. So yeah, these dies are amazing. This kit is amazing. I also still have the back side of one of the cards we cut off. So I want to try and use all of these today. This is a crumb cake card base that is 4.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. And I embossed the entire card front with the Hive 3D embossing folder. So if you still have that one, then use it. This obviously works perfectly with the bees and the honeycomb and the hive. So I'm going to use that. Keep your supplies, and we always use them eventually. So I'm going to cut this in half at 2 3/4. I'm just going to do both of the card bases I have left. Part of the card bases I have left. And then we're going to make an alternative with this. I hope you're not getting tired of this kit. I certainly are not. It is so much fun. I love bees. I love spring and summer and flowers and the colors, and this is just absolutely my jam. So I love using this kit, and it makes me happy when we can have something that really is so much fun to use. So I'm just going to cut some linen thread, and I'm going to cut that long enough, or so that I can do pieces so that I can double it up. That is something I do like to do with linen thread. And then I also want a piece for my bow, so we will get that in a little bit. So I'm folding the twine in half, and then I'm just going to use some tear and tape to adhere that off to the side, like so. I do like using tear and tape to adhere the ribbon. It sticks, or the twine, it sticks to the twine, and then you can also pull it off, and it adds some, like when you pull the backing off, it adds adhesive already to your element. So that's nice. Glue dots work great too. You can use either one. I'm not even going to bother cutting that loop in half. It's not necessary. So we're just going to adhere that right there with some liquid glue. So here's where I said when you take off the tear and tape backing, it's already sticky, so we can just add some liquid glue to get that on our card front. Don't you just love that texture of the card base? It's the first time that I used my embossing folder to emboss the entire front of the card. I usually use a mat, like leave the card base intact and then cut an extra piece, emboss that, and then adhere the extra piece to my card front. But I thought I'd try a new technique and emboss the entire piece, and I think that's kind of fun. I do like the effect. I also like it when there's a little border, so just you do you. So here I'm using those very cute die cuts. I die cut this, I think, out of Bumblebee cardstock. I stockpiled Bumblebee because I love it so much, but obviously the color in the kit's crushed curry, so use that if you want to use that. And then just adhere that. I decided to adhere the die cuts behind the thread because I didn't want it to make a bump over the top of the thread. Now I'm going to do some of my stamping. What I want to do first is stamp some of the flowers. So this kit came with 2 stamp sets. Ooh, why did that feel harder than it was supposed to be? Okay, so I'm going to use the flower from the alternative stamp set. So that is the one, and then there is the additional stamp set we got in this kit, and I do love the honeycomb. I've been using that quite a bit, and then we're going to use this flower image as a focal point on our card design. I'm going to stamp a couple of these, just going to speed it up a little bit so that you don't have to sit through all of this stamping. Just even pressure and you will get a nice image. Isn't these flowers so cute? I really like them. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit because I want to watercolor them, and because I'm not using StazOn, I'm using Memento. I'm going to let that just dry. I'm using the sentiment from Catching Butterflies. It's an oldie but a goodie. I absolutely love this sentiment. Celebrate every beautiful thing. I'm just going to stamp a couple of these too. Now with the cling stamp, you don't technically need to have your mat underneath, but it doesn't hurt. I've found the more cushioning the better. It just gives a clear image, and we do want that. So the other thing I think I'm going to do is also just stamp the inside of my card. I want to use that pretty bee. Just check if that's the, yes, that is the right size. It was laying around my desk and I just grabbed it. So this is that pretty bee. It's so cute. I love this. This stamp set is one of my favorite bee stamp sets ever. And it's also paper pumpkin. So paper pumpkin can be a very good way to supplement your stamp collection. You get a new stamp set with a new style every month, and it's an amazing thing to have. So like I said, I love my bumblebee, so I'll be using my bumblebee ink and the 2-step stamping, and that to just quickly give this bee some color, and it's going to look so cute. Just lining them up nice, and there is, isn't that so cute? It's so cute. Love that bee. You can see my scrap piece of paper is just lined with all the images from this kit that I've tried out. Probably time for some new scrap paper over there, but hey, all the colors work. Grabbing my water painter, and I think this have dried enough, so we will see. Sometimes with Memento your lines can bleed a bit, so you don't want a lot of water, and right now my water painter is absolutely gushing water for some or other weird reason, so I'm just gonna wipe that off quickly. You don't want to, I also didn't use watercolor paper, I just used normal white, so I don't want too much water on there, so my Memento don't bleed and my paper don't buckle. If you want to use watercolor paper, you're more than welcome. It does have a bit of a more of a texture, so your stamped lines may not come out as clear, but you do you, whichever way you want. I don't do layers and layers of watercoloring on top of my images. I just do a, basic color with a little bit of extra, darker or lighter pieces here and there, so I don't mind using the normal white versus the watercolor paper. So I'm just going to color this one image and then we'll move on. I'm using Mossy Meadow and just going along the edge, starting from one side to the rest, and then just darkening spots here and there. It doesn't need to be perfect, just go do whatever you want, and after a while you will see you get the feel of it. Watercoloring is one of those things that you just need to play with it until you find it. It's not hard, it's not difficult, it's not rocket science. Just start at one end, make it lighter as you go, and then just go back and add some more color, darker areas, lighter areas. And I decided to keep the flower white, so as you know, the kit flowers are all white, so we're just gonna go with it. And then fussy cutting, my one tip for that is keep your scissors still and use your other hand, non-scissor hand or non-cutting hand, to turn the paper into the scissors. That is the best way to fussy cut. If you're going to try and move your scissor around, it's going to be harder. And leave that little white edge. You just don't want to cut into your stamped line. How you cut the white edge doesn't really make that big of a difference. Your eye will be drawn to the perfect stamped line and not to where you accidentally maybe didn't cut perfectly. So don't fret, don't even worry about it. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals and add it to the side of the linen thread. Again, I don't really want to go over the linen thread and make a bump there. Then I'm going to just add some dimensionals to the edges of our pretty little flower. It's a very nice image. I like it, so cute. And with that little honeycomb die cut at the back and the embossing folder, just all of it comes together to look so cute. Just trying to figure out where I want to place this. We'll get there eventually. There we go. That looks good. I want everything to show and still leave space for my sentiment. So I'm going to, before I add the bees, let's cut the sentiment. Just going to use my trimmer because I don't think I can cut this straight with my scissors. Now, I felt like this is a bit big for one. It should be fine to just have it as one big piece, but I wanted to add a little bit more interest by just cutting these words apart and adding them separately to my card. With the trimmer, you can easily see where you're cutting, so because it's got that clear grid at the top, or that clear ruler at the top, so it's easy to see exactly where you're cutting and that you're cutting right in the middle of those two words. I really love that. So I'm just going to cut these words, and I cut them apart, and then I'll use my scissors to just trim the excess on the ends. Now I feel more confident in using my scissor for that because I feel it would be a little finicky to do that with a trimmer. And it's such a small area, it doesn't really matter if it's, I'm just gonna eyeball this about. It doesn't need to be perfect. Again, just get it as close as you want. You can see I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just going for it and won't worry about it. There we go. Let's get rid of all of these little things, and we can grab our liquid glue somewhere, and there it is. And let's see where we want to put. I'm going to sort of place them first do the top and then sort of just line them up. I do like this little area there where the leaf and the die cut is sort of hugging the corner of that sentiment. And then I'll do the third word first. Let's just keep a little space, see how far we want, because there's another like little space where I want that long word to be hugged by the die cut and the image. So if I get those two to sit nice, the celebrate and beautiful, then I can add the every and thing just in the middle and it'll be fine. I just move this one up a little bit, like about there. I just don't want it to really line up with the celebrate, so let's get it right in the middle. And let's put the thing at the bottom, add some glue, and we'll just add it right. Scooch it up a little bit, sort of have, ooh, let's just get it sort of straight, that'll help. There we go. I like that way better. If it was still like one piece, the layout wouldn't have been the same. I do like how that turned out. And now I'm going to show you how to do the inside of this little bee. I just grabbed some bumblebee scraps and I cut out like a little sort of teardrop shape that would be able to fit right behind the bee. So I'm just going to do this. Let me find my mat, silicone craft mat, because I can see this has potential to get glue all over my surface, and if you've watched me long enough, you know that I don't want glue everywhere. It's not good. So that's why I love the silicone craft sheet. You can just have it underneath you, and when the glue dries, it just rolls. You can just wipe it off and throw it away. It will not make your surface sticky forever. Look at these bees, they're just so cute. How it looks at the back doesn't matter. Let's just snip off that tiny little piece that's peeking out to the front, and look how cute that is. So cute. It's my favorite bees so far. These little die cuts are just adorable little things. Okay, using the edge of my little scrap piece of dimensionals that I still have left. You know that I love using the edge pieces for things like this, and it works perfectly. It fits perfectly on that little bee right there. So I'm going to remove the backing, and let's put this one flying that way, and we can use this one. Let's get it to go that way. So cute. Just quickly fussed with my bow, and it's sort of ready yet. I just used double linen thread again and tied a little double loop for my bow. I absolutely love this card. It's one of my favorites. I hope you enjoyed it too. Okay, let's get some glue dots. I'm going to roll it up a little bit. When I use linen thread, because it's so thin, the glue dot just feels too big. So if you roll it up, then it sits nicely underneath that tiny little knot. And I'm going to hug this up right to that little flower, sort of scooch it underneath, and then put it right on top of my linen thread that I tied around that center mat. Let's get our inside glued on with my cute little stamped bee. It's so cute. I love it. sort of straight. There we go. I do like the embossing, I think, on the entire piece, because if you open the card up, then it has that nice inside. So this is the gold textured dots. I've been going on about them for weeks. I did not check if they're still on the last chance list. I should actually, but we'll get to it. Use it. It looks like honey drops. Absolutely love it. This is probably going to be me fussing with where I want to put them. Let me know if you know where to put your dots. I'm always a bit on the fence of exactly where it needs to go. Let's put that one there, and one big one somewhere up there. There we go. So I hope that you loved my alternatives as much as I did, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.